profit, because we can't do business if you are making losses. Business must result into profit. And in order to make profit sustainably, continuously, you need 3 elements. Element number 1, you produce a good or a service, a product. It can be a good, it can be a service. That's number 1. Now, to produce a good or a service, there are some other issues which you need, which I will not go into. You need raw materials, you need labor, you need all sorts of things. But to summarize, I will simply talk of producing a good or a service.
Furthermore, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni also this week promised to analyze the judiciary concern of granting bail to suspects with capital offences, which he says needs amendment. According to the President, Museveni, granting bail to criminal offences suspects is a provocation to the victims and to Ugandans, which he says will soon be addressed. President Museveni communicated this during the 4th memorial lecture of the late Chief Justice Benedicto Kiwanuka held at the High Court in Kampala.
The judiciary has today commemorated the 4th memorial lecture of the first Chief Justice and Prime Minister of Uganda, the late Benedicto Kiwanuka Kajimu, for his role towards the judiciary and the rule of law. The late Kiwanuka was murdered by Idi Amin security operatives in 1972. However, to date, the whereabouts of the remains of his body remain unknown to either the family or the general public, a matter that has remained a painstaking issue to the legal fraternity and his family. This function in memory of him was held scientifically at the premises of Uganda's Temple of Justice in Kampala under the theme Administration and Delivery of Justice in Uganda through the years, and was graced by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and commenced with the unveiling of the new monument of the late Benedicto Kiwanuka. It was during this function that President Museveni reiterated the issue of granting bail to suspects with a capital offense, which he says is an element of provocation against Ugandans, especially the victims.
We are going to address it. Also, politically, we are going to, constitutionally, we are going to mobilize ourselves. I'm glad the CJ has, because it will cause us problems. Now, the other problem I'm beginning to see, ideological, again, departure, is this issue of maximum sentence, life imprisonment. Life imprisonment. But you killed a person. You are not put in jail for life. The one you killed is not in jail. He is dead.
Museveni also applauded the achievements done by the late Justice Benedicto Kiwanuka, however castigated those who murdered Kiwanuka in cold blood.
Now, the people who killed Benedicto Kiwanuka thought they were very smart. You pick a chief justice, you kill him, you think that's the end. You can see that these people were big miscalculators.
In response to President Museveni's remarks on granting bail, Chief Justice Alfonso Wadulo was quick to notify the president that granting bail to alleged capital offense offenders is a constitutional right to any accused person.
A judicial officer does not wake up from the wrong side of the bed and deny bail to an applicant, or wake up from the right side of the bed and grant bail to all and sundry. The rules for grant of for bail is very clear. There are many factors in addition that the applicant will actually turn up for hearing.
Chief Justice Dolo also called for non-interference in the independence of the judiciary by political actors while executing its work. The cited case backlog has a challenge facing the judiciary.
When litigants wait in vain and die of old age without seeing justice done, because it takes over 10 years for a case to be disposed of, if ever.
It was during this function that Emeritus Chief Justice Wako Wambuzi presented a book about the reflections of the achievements of the late Chief Justice Benedict Chwanka during his tenure.
Excellency, we thank you so much for launching the book.
Other speakers who attended the function applauded the tremendous work done by the late Chief Justice Benedict Chwanka.
The life of the late Chief Justice was taken away because of his conviction in defending the equality of citizens before the law, their liberty, and his belief in the rule of law.
Not only for the Bill of Rights, but also singled out specific rights that must not be derogated from under any circumstances.
In attendance were a few lawyers and judicial officials. The Permanent Secretary to the Judiciary, Pius Bigirimana, Emeritus Chief Justices of Uganda, the family of the late Chief Justice Benedict Chwanka, among others. At the function, awards were given out to those who have worked tirelessly to light the candle at the judiciary. The Chief Justice Benedict Chwanka Magumba Kajimu was known as a person who spoke the truth, a freedom fighter, and respected human rights. He was murdered on the 21st of September 1972 at Machindia military prison in the hands of Idi Amin security operatives. Ivan Juko, Rebecca Nantango, UBC News.
The Prime Minister Robin Nabanja was this week at the National Leadership Institute, Chankwanzi, to close a strategic planning retreat organized by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Now, she represented President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni at this event.
The 4-day retreat at the National Leadership Institute at Chankwanzi brought together senior management and the political leadership of the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. In a speech read for him by the Prime Minister, the President said transforming the 39% of the population that is still outside the money economy was the biggest challenge the country faces. He said government must take every effort to engage the population in productive and business-oriented agriculture to enable people earn a good living.
For decades, I have noted that the NRM government has done a lot for our people, but we have not told and communicated it as widely as possible. This has often made the people question what government is doing. I have therefore directed that ministers and other senior leaders of government should regularly use radio and TV stations, social media, and all other forms to tell our people what government has done and is doing for them. If we don't tell our positive stories, no one else will do it for us.
The President emphasized the need for close supervision of government programs and projects by the political and technical leadership. He said anybody who procures or authorizes procurement of fake seeds or fertilizers or acaricides is a criminal and should have no place in the public service. The Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Frank Tumwebaze, hailed the Prime Minister for practical approach to government business. He said that the outcome of the retreat will be presented to Cabinet for final decisions to enable implementation.
So in summary, this is the gist of our work. We have defined all of this. We have defined what to do, the how to do it, and the who. Because Madam and honorable colleagues, we are not the only people to do.
Other ministers present included State Minister for Animal Industry, Bright Wamirama, State Minister for Fisheries, Helen Adoa, State Minister for Luwero, Renzori Triangle, Alice Kaboyo, and other senior government officials. Doreen Nasasra reporting for UBC News.
Parliament this week demanded for an explanation on the rearrest of two legislators who had been granted bail by the High Court in Masaka. Alan Sewanyana of Makindye West and Muhammad Sejirinya of Kawempe North were rearrested upon release upon different occasions. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, challenged technical people in government to avoid operating in isolation, especially on such matters of national concern.
The first procedure you used to summon them through the office of the Speaker, what was strange this time around? That it was imperative that you had to kidnap the members of Parliament.
Alan Sewanyana of Makindye West and Muhammad Sejirinya of Kawempe North are currently battling murder cases at Masaka High Court. This resulted from recent unlawful activities of machete wielding men in Greater Masaka region. The duo had secured bail only to be rearrested upon release, attracting more alarms than whispers among fellow legislators.
Honourable Speaker, we demand in the immediacy through your chair that the state explain the situation, because we are constrained, on my side at least, to move as though it's normal business, that members of Parliament can be abducted and taken away and nobody says anything about it. It's normal.
These concerns were raised when the House sitting was convened on Tuesday. Opposition-leaning members of Parliament sought answers from government as to why the two were rearrested. In his motion, Chira Municipality Member of Parliament Semujunganda sought to have the House adjourned, prompting the Speaker of Parliament Jacob Olanya to provide some guidance.
The motion I am moving under 59, Right Honourable Speaker, is for this Parliament to suspend this sitting until our colleagues have been freed who were kidnapped by people who were dressed like thugs.
There's no motion substantial before the House now, because until I allow it, it's not a motion.
Even when the Speaker of Parliament temporarily adjourned the House for 15 minutes, the return of Prime Minister and Attorney General's explanations were not convincing.
Right Honourable Speaker, it is also true that the Honourable Sewanyana yesterday had a statement and was interrogated at Chireka CID in the presence of his lawyers. Today, the Honourable Sejirinya is also going to be interrogated by CID in the presence of his lawyers.
Right Honourable Speaker, are going to be presented in court in accordance, and they can go back as many times as the offences they commit.
Dissatisfied with these explanations, the MPs walked out of the chamber with guidance by the leader of opposition.
In the circumstances, Honourable Speaker, I would like to join you in not joining illegality. The biggest statement that a criminal state must receive today, that this should not happen again, and in the circumstances, I am constrained to continue leading my team, Honourable Speaker, in these circumstances, because you are mimicking the truth.
The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, would then prematurely adjourn the House till Wednesday.
Today I was talking to some group of people, and I told them the biggest problem that we have in this country is our technical people stepping down directives from top officials of government.
Susan Nawonga reporting for UBC TV.
Chambogo University is set to recover over 60 acres of land which it had been lost to squatters. This follows Buganda Land Board's pronouncement that the land in question is not part of the Kabaka's land, but rather public land which belongs to the Chambogo University. Over 300 families which had for long settled in the part of Chambogo's land will now wait for a decision on how to vacate the premises, which will be announced on a later date.
After several attempts to end the long unsettled land dispute at Chambogo University, the Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Kataha Museveni, forwarded the matter to the State House Anti-Corruption Unit to ascertain the grievances on the land in question. Colonel Edith Nakalema, the head of State House Anti-Corruption Unit, paid attention to the details and engaged the relevant stakeholders, including the claimants.
Whenever we receive those complaints, we work with other agencies.
On visiting the locus, the first petitioner to jump out of the sequence was Kampala District Land Board, which was claiming over 60 acres of Kyambogo University land.
It was clear that the claim over the university land by Kampala District Land Board was not founded in the law.
Over 300 families have on record lived in part of the Kyambogo land for decades in pretense of Kabaka's land. The rowdy squatters got relieved after they saw officials from Buganda Kingdom as part of the meeting, only to be disappointed as Simon Kabogoza, the chairperson of the Buganda Land Board, informed them that the land they are living on is instead a public land, but not Kabaka's land. This caused a swipe of chaos.
Iranga Buganda Land Board era ne family ya Sosonkoli tetuvunaanizibwa ku ttaka lino. Ekyo njagala tukijje ensalo zaffe n'empenda ku zeekyapa terituuka wano. Eryaffe likoma ludde eri ne tweyongerayo okudda eri.
Tuzaliddwa kuno nina emyaka 28 kati asazi natandika okungamba biki
mu byonna bye mutwogere chairman tonatubuulira nti mwatu ogambye nti gwe kenyini wagenda wayina emyaka 10 ne mujja wano kyenda mu mwezi wamusangawo naye ye yali yatuuka atya ekyo nakyo kiri awo kakati ebyo tetujja kubi.
Colonel Edith Nakalema asked the squatters to select about 12 representatives to engage in the final meeting and decide on the next course of action.
Kubanga kakati lewa munayagala kifaanana kitya tetuyinaawo wadde answer wabula tusaba mama Nakalema otuyambe.
Kati bano ekizibu kye balina bano kiri kimu tebamanyi wakuteesa naye. So many people have come here.
And I think we are relieved with that. What they wanted to know was if they were going to negotiate, with whom would they negotiate? Whether they were wondering Kampala District Land Board, Obwakabaka bwa Buganda, Kyambogo, who do we talk to? They were now told you are sitting on Kyambogo University land.
The team which visited the locus included officials from Buganda Land Board, Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Kampala District Land Board, State House Anti-Corruption Unit and Kyambogo University, among others. Daniel Mugoya and Tanaba Kenneth, UBC News.
In another development, the Lands Minister Judith Nabakova this week was in Lyantonde district to neutralize a land conflict that might otherwise have turned bloody.
The land in contention is in Chakarinda village, Kario sub-county, Kavula county, Lyantonde district. Mapped at block 64, plot 48. It's alleged that the family of the late James Ruhitani is threatening to evict over 200 squatters from the land they claim rightful ownership of it.
Basi tulina basaveya tutebereza obuteberezebwa nti ebibanja byaffe bye batubyeko bisukamo eka nkaga mwemu
bateme ekibanja hata oruhendo rusya harimu karutusi liwanya n'ekibira kya karutusi kiriho
tulungamye mu ngeri yonna buli muntu amatire bino ebyokuyuwa omusaayi tibibaawo
imwe mwini itaka lyo kututabo beja bapimye ikaze ziri mu kibanja cyanje mutifurule mutitwalire.
However, Bwambale Ezra Mugenyi, who represented the administrators of the land in this meeting, justifies the call for the recent boundary opening.
We are just opening the boundaries to know how far our land goes. As simple as that, because this land was bought in 1977 by our grandfather. So he's now deceased. His estate has to get another caretaker.
Bwambale says there is no cause for alarm since the family has no intentions of evicting squatters.
We have no intentions whatsoever of chasing away these people. Now what are they talking about? The RDC was here the other time. Now the minister is here. The message they have put across is one and the same. Nobody has an intention of chasing these people off their banja.
The meeting was attended by, among others, the Ntonde security chiefs under the gears of the RDCs, Catherine Kamwine.
Banganze bwemba land road tongana kugula ruwenda nekyatasobola kukola kwe kubagoba ekyo kye nabanyonyola.
This time round, the satisfied Judith Nabakova left one administrative order behind.
But right now, I've told them what they need to do is to use their vibanja because the landlord knows them and he acknowledges that at least they exist, which is a good thing. Then another thing what we are going to do is to open the boundaries of this disputed land because we want to know who is, because they are claiming that part of the land could be under Buganda Land Board, then another could be under the landlords who are here today. So we need to know who owns the land, as in having the land title.
Nabakova, however, vows to leave no stone unturned in regards to unlawful evictions.
Government etuyambe.
Authorities in Kabale district this week expressed mixed reactions to a proposal aimed at availing family planning tools to teenagers in the in a bid to curb the fast rising cases of teenage pregnancy. Now, this was during a meeting on family planning advocacy organized by the Partners in Population and Development Africa Regional Office at the White Horse in Kabale.
Kabale district has registered 2,628 cases of teenage pregnancies since the closure of schools in a bid to fight COVID-19. This 14-year-old girl with HIV/AIDS is one of the victims of teenage pregnancies in Kabale district. She was in primary 6 when she got this horrific experience that has changed her life. This victim learned of her pregnancy when she had gone to pick her ARVs.
boyfriend babo then kutwache nyontara mangu ngo hariyo ndijo then ondijo wabiroriyo niwe yankwasi yagurukira kankwata.
Some authorities in the area are proposing the access to family planning tools for young people to reduce on these fast-rising cases of teenage pregnancy. Alfred Wesigensi, the Kabale district health officer, says that such an approach is viable since most of the youth in the area are proving to be sexually active.
Instead of the child acquiring HIV or becoming pregnant, carrying a pregnancy, which I am sure most of them really don't want at that time, you would rather promote family planning methods among everyone.
Monica Muhumuza, the Kabale district senior probation officer, says that parents and guardians should accept the reality concerning their children's sexual life and go for family planning solutions as soon as possible.
If there are no other options that are going to work, then for a parent to advise that the child goes for family planning to be able to curtail on being impregnated and even contracting other sexually transmitted diseases, I think that would be an option to take.
However, Reverend Edward Mwesigwa, the parish priest of St. Andrew's Nyabikoni Church of Uganda, says that more efforts should be put in discouraging youth from premarital sex instead of focusing on family planning tools which appear like an encouragement to sinful life.
If we tell our children that anyway it is okay, that you can use the family planning methods so that you cannot conceive. For us as a church, we are not aiming at converting the body. Ours is to convert the heart.
According to the Uganda Demographic and Health Survey of 2016, 1 in 4 adolescent girls aged 15 to 19 are already mothers or pregnant with their first child. Teenage childbearing is higher in rural areas, that is 27%, than in urban areas, which is 19%. This, according to some authorities, can be reduced once family planning knowledge and practices are recommended for sexually active children.
The Commander Land Forces, Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, this week visited Ugandan troops serving under the African Union mission in Somalia to assess their welfare and commend them for their contribution to the peace support operation. Kainerugaba was in Somalia from the 23rd to the 27th of September, where he interacted with the Ugandan troops involved in the ongoing operations to degrade Al-Shabaab and restore peace and stability in the country.
During his 5-day working visit, Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba paid a courtesy call on the President of Somalia, His Excellency Muhammad Abdullahi Muhammad Farmajo, and the Prime Minister, His Excellency Muhammad Hussein Robo. He also met with the AMISOM military leadership and visited various forward operating bases where he interacted with Ugandan troops at the front line. On arrival, the Commander Land Forces inspected a guard of honor mounted by the Ugandan AMISOM troops and later held a closed-door meeting with senior Ugandan military officers who included the Ugandan Contingent Commander Brigadier General Don William Nabasa and Major General Joseph Kidega, Uganda's defense advisor in Somalia.
Thank the troops for the great work they are doing, is to get and to deliver to them the thanks of the entire army, UPDF, and the entire people of Uganda for the great work they are doing in Somalia. A commander is not one that sits in the office. A commander is somebody who goes to the field and understands what his soldiers are going through in the field. So that's why I came here.
Lieutenant General Kainerugaba visited Ugandan troops in Abriska, Sirijali, Balawe, and Baledogle, where he urged them to maintain a high level of discipline, professionalism, and good working relations with the local communities. Speaking to the troops, the CLF revealed that he was impressed with the work they are doing for the people of Somalia.
Msifanye kitu chibaya chochote ambao chinaweza chikaleta jina mbaya kwa nchi yetu. Nawaomba mdumishe nidhamu, ikuwe hali ya juu sana. Msiwafanyie jambo mbaya yoyote.
He noted that despite numerous challenges, Ugandan troops serving in the mission had stayed on course, discharging their duties with zeal. On his part, Brigadier General Nabasa thanked the CLF for visiting the troops.
And find time to talk to your troops in the mission area. It's very encouraging, it's morale boosting, and will make our work very easy. After you talking to us, I'm sure we shall be more re-energized to undertake any mission, regardless of whatever it takes.
Uganda was the first to deploy troops on the mission in 2007, paving the way for other countries to join, playing a major role in forcing Al-Shabaab out of Mogadishu and other parts of the country, thereby contributing to the peace and stabilization efforts in Somalia. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
10 technical and vocational education institutions this week received ICT equipment as a response to the disruption of COVID-19 pandemic on education systems and improving quality of the TVET in Uganda. The Director of Education Standards at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Kedres Tudiagenda, says that the donation is timely in addressing continuous learning. Details follow.
It is now close to 2 years when former looking at chalkboards was disrupted at the wake of COVID-19 lockdown, which is threatening human existence world over. Uganda education system is one of the worst hit, with many learners unable to access any form of learning while at home. Now, the Better Education for Africa's Rise to project, a joint initiative of United Nations Education Scientific and Culture Organization, UNESCO, and the Republic of Korea have come out handy to support technical and vocational education training with ICT equipment to boost online digital learning.
Skills acquisition help to reduce unemployment, particularly among youth. Skills help generate income and support livelihoods of individuals, families, and of entire communities. As such, even has the potential to be a key driver of overall economic growth and well-being for all.
Receiving from UNESCO and handing over the consignment to the 10 benefiting institutions, the Education Standards Director at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Kendras Turiagenda, is impressed to the gesture, saying COVID-19 stripped the education sector.
As you are aware, this pandemic affected the whole globe, and about 1.2 billion learners across the globe were affected, and as institutions and schools closed. Here in Uganda, about 15 million learners went home early last year, because of the pandemic. But learning has to continue, and we are grateful that these ICTs have come around and can make it possible for us to keep learning.
Dr. Turiagenda is happy that this is going to strengthen technical training, especially to the selected agriculture institutions.
But what we are doing in education is to give now learners the skills, as you've heard, so that they are available, because the human resource, the human resource capacity is very, very critical in doing anything.
Representing the ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Uganda, His Excellency Ha Byun-cho, a research specialist at the embassy, Tonya Alade, says Korea's bilateral mission with Uganda is to develop the rural sector.
I believe that Uganda can achieve its industrialization agenda for inclusive growth, employment, and wealth creation by adequately, skillfully, and strategically training her abundant labor force.
The ICT equipment is targeting the agriculture sector with the overall objective of supporting national authorities together with the private sector to improve the relevancy, quality, and improving perception of agro-processing and post-harvest management training. In line with strengthening quality of business, technical, vocational, educational and training, BITVET, the Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNESCO are strengthening the use of ICT in BITVET.
Government is doing its best to ensure that learning continues, and we shouldn't be surprised to see that learning physically in schools.
UNESCO together handed over 21 laptops, 4 smart interactive boards, 21 projectors, and 21 external storage devices to support management and teaching in 10 relevant BITVET institutions.
Presidential Affairs Committee Chairperson Jessica Ababibika, yes, this week advised beneficiaries of the Poverty Alleviation Development Program to embrace items given to them with utmost care. Ababibika raised this concern during the visit of the committee in Chichusa Parish Model in Nakaseke District.
Parliamentary Presidential Committee headed by Jessica Ababika toward Chichusa Model Village in Kasana in Nakaseke District to evaluate the performance of the support to the area.
Performing at a fairly good level, because if a farmer rose from a level of illiteracy to a level of a manager, and also owning a few things that can help him or herself. For me, that is where I derive my success. So we have to work together. But also the district has to ensure mainstreaming of these activities. If you are going to supervise a project in village A you should also go and see what is happening there.
A senior presidential advisor on Poverty Alleviation Department, Joan Kakwazire, explained that this low performance is due to attitude and bad politics.
The biggest challenge is adaptability. People adapt projects at different paces. You have some who are running, you have some who are moderate, but you also have those who say, Temunta wanya. Don't disturb me. You give him something, he sells it. You don't give him something, he reports you that you didn't give him. So they are there. Eh?
But at the president's demonstration garden, they have come to see what is on the president's demo garden, if it is replicated on the farmers' farms.
However, these say there is still need for more funds due to limited budget to overcome the challenges encountered.
I have field officers who don't have even motorcycles to go to homesteads. They do footwork, they walk. But because we are committed workers, we tell them work for the nation. That's why when they tell me employ people with diplomas, sometimes I go lower because I can't afford them. Another challenge I have is that I've tried to say, if you add on more model villages, add more money. But the money that we had for 5 villages is the one supposed to go around to the 27.
Because of the resources, the meager resources we get from Parliament or from the President's vote, we buy a few to be distributed to a few farmers who are eager or who are willing to work, much as many people would like to get.
The area chairperson, Lawrence Chibidige, said that there has been transformation of people's lives financially.
I should ask for the government to first sensitize a youth who can understand pig, let him involved in pig. Who understand the cow should be involved in the cow.
This program has helped me a great deal to improve on my earning, and we receive training from the field officers and other people, the technocrats, on how to manage better our crops, and our income has gone up now.
Ekyamazima project ya pad yansanga sina bwendi nga ntandika butandise ekyalo kati nina wentuuse okusinzira kuba nsobola okufuna milioni zainga 12,800 omwezi.
However, the woman member of parliament, Nakaseke district, Sarah Najuma, says there is need for community inclusion for locals to benefit.
I take this opportunity to thank the government for the different programs that we've got as Nakaseke district. My advice is that we should bring all leadership on board. Then also all programs should be incorporated within the district structures so that we can get easy follow-up.
The Poverty Alleviation Department started in Chichusa Model Parish with 120 households benefiting in the initiative. At least 82 cows, 1,050 goats, 252 pigs, among other enterprises, have been given to beneficiaries. Sandra Kahunde, Kenneth Tanaba, UBC News.
Ugandans are being urged to appreciate each other's contribution to the development of the country. This was at a press conference addressed by the director Diamond Stars Limited, Sundar Mehanatan, who is also the authorized distributor of LG Electronics in Uganda.
It has been a tough 2 years ever since COVID-19 pandemic came forth into the world. This is because the pandemic has affected a number of businesses and social stability across the country. The director, Diamond Stars Limited, Sundar Mehanatan Sundar, however, believes despite all this, amends can be done through hard work and resilience. Mehanatan says any hardworking person should be appreciated for the good of the country. The LG Electronics dealer says sports personalities should always be appreciated because of their contribution to the country's good image.
We would like to honor the sports person who has done the great achievement for the country. So televisions, you know, which is the major part of sports, any sports industry. So we would like to give them 65 OLED LG televisions in lieu of their achievements for the country. So, and also we would like to take this opportunity on the 8th October to launch the Uganda's first 8K televisions, which is brought by LG Electronics in Uganda.
Mehanatan wants the rest of his fellow business counterparts to maintain honesty, integrity, and humility during their daily transact businesses with Ugandans so as to benefit from them in this COVID-19 era. He adds that the pandemic has affected most of the businesses economically across the country, and as such, they have got minimal funds to keep running the businesses competitively, a factor that has paralyzed most of the investors.
Due to this pandemic, all the business people and the public has suffered a lot economically, and as a business person, I think this pandemic situation has put everyone in the back seat. But in any business, if you are honest and have the integrity and then have the strong mind to sustain the business, you should always be patient and endurance enough to withstand such difficulties during the tough times. And when you stay strong, I think we can always be successful.
Kayumba Stephen, Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Furthermore, a dairy farm owned by a lady and her children in Barara has become a model farm with hundreds of farmers flocking it daily to acquire modern livestock management skills. Lubiera Dairy Investment, a family farm owned by Philomena Kemijumbi Nshangaro, started way back in 1977 with a goal to make money through breeding and selling livestock. Lubiera Dairy Investment is a medium-sized family farm sitting on 80 hectares in the sub-county of Ranyamahembe sub-county in Barara district.
The family been able to manage the whole process of dairy farming and how they have been able to translate it not just as a cultural heritage, but to also make sure that it generates for them sufficient revenues that are able.
Lubiera Dairy Investments takes the name Rubierwa from its 3 farms in Rubingo, Piembogo, and Ranyamahembe in Mbara district.
I believe in unity, I believe in achieving and leaving behind what I have achieved and sharing whatever.
Rubierwa is a family business managed by Philomena Kemijumbi Nshangano and her children. Shangano is a former director at the Ministry of Public Service who retired into a male-dominated sector and is thriving.
In our sharing, not only within the family, but even beyond the family and the community.
It is here at the Rubierwa farm that resident district commissioners and district chairpersons recently undertook a 5-day training in dairy farming as a profitable family business. The chairperson, Rubierwa Dairy Investments Limited, Ranyamahembe, Robert Rugambwa, wants livestock keeping embraced as a viable family income generating activity for better livelihoods.
How they design the whole livestock farming process in terms of how they provide for the new young ones who are learning about cattle keeping and how they can be able to translate all that knowledge and all that heritage of cattle keeping into viable.
Rwampara resident district commissioner Turyabajenyi Emma Katera was one of the participants at the recent training. He appreciated the training program at Rubierwa Dairy Investments for being inspiring and educative.
The first generation is the founder of this land who bought land, the man and husband. The second generation is their children. The third generation will be the grandchildren of the founders.
The executive director and founder of Rubierwa Dairy Investments Limited, Philomena Kemijumbi Nshangano, wants trainees to mobilize the population into embracing dairy farming as a profitable business.
Even in terms of families.
Lyantonde resident district commissioner Catherine Kamwine says she acquired livestock keeping skills, which she intends to apply to her cattle keeping career, mainly regarding dairy farming as a unique enterprise.
Only to learn that I'm actually a cattle keeper, not a dairy farmer. So I'll pass on the message to the people I represent here, and I'm sure within a year or two there will be transformation in Lyantonde district.
The chairperson, Mitoma District, Veronica Lieja, says in order to have a stable and united family, there is a need to have business like Rubyer Investments Limited, a model farm owned by the Shangano family.
The land has to remain, and what the family members have to share are the proceeds from what they are earning from the family. So I appeal
Martin
to
Dijong, the project manager, SNV TID project, advised district local leaders to share experience gained because dairy farming is a combination of knowledge and skills.
So I think the district leaders learned a lot technical, also learned that skills is needed to use the knowledge you have in your head. So skills is equally important as knowledge.
Rubyer Farm is now regarded as a model farm with various government institutions and private sector players visiting it and carrying out benchmarking visits to the farm.
Namuno ebitweke byakunuya nkantunga mu inamate mingi koka omutindo ngo gutakabonire ko guzacuruhura omutindo ngo gutakabonire mbweno hati twayugita nkabarisa tuwena tukagera irakarumwe ntije kuja
Unlike most dairy farms in southwestern Uganda that are owned by men, the 80-hectare Rubyer Investments farm is owned by a woman. Rubyer farm joined SNV's Inclusive Dairy Enterprise project in 2016 as a practical dairy training farm.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart. Mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama. At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of home-grown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Switch to Airtel, Uganda's only 100% 4G network, and get 50% data bonus on all bundles purchased using Airtel Money. Visit the nearest Airtel shop with a valid national ID to buy a SIM card today. For business entities, please share an email with business.support@ug.airtel.com. Enjoy the best rates on calls, SMS, data, and Airtel Money across Uganda on your preferred number. Subject to availability. 50% data bonus is valid till 15th November 2021. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Good morning, Mr. Murisa. My name is Dr. Buramu, the district veterinary officer here.
Good to meet you. Doctor, we are facing a big challenge of foot and mouth disease here.
Don't worry. I have an important message for you today. Foot and mouth disease is causing a serious impact on your livelihoods, but it can be stopped. You as a farmer has the biggest role to play to ensure your livestock remains healthy. Your animals are your livelihood, and so you need to take every action possible to guard your business, your livelihood, and your family. Animal quarantines fuel poverty, and they will continue if we do not protect our farms from such infections, what we vets call farm biosecurity. The government is doing everything possible to control animal diseases, especially FMD, but needs your help, Mr. Murisa. Healthy animals are more productive and will open better and higher value markets for you nationally, regionally, and for international exports. The foundation for better animal health is to ensure your livestock are fed and watered well. Your animals will grow and not suffer from less disease if you also provide supplementary feeding. You need to feed your livestock on silage, hay, and forage instead of complete free range that exposes them to diseases. Increased production of your livestock will mean better household incomes, well-nourished animals, high productivity, and a health herd.
This message is brought to you by...
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Connect your home online with MTN WakaNet Max, a fast and reliable home internet solution to power your streaming, gaming, online classes, work, and CCTV security cameras. The MTN WakaNet Max starter kit comes with a free 4G router, SIM card, and 35 GB bundle with no validity, all at 245,000 Uganda shillings. Visit any MTN service center to sign up.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Roundup here at Broadcast House. Now, Uganda Dance Sport Federation has continued to go ahead with its regional qualifiers with a stop in the central Uganda. The event at Kasubi Mapera Secondary School along Entebbe and will feature dancers from Wakiso and Kampala district. The best dancers after a countrywide tour will face off in a decider to get the best to represent at the World Championship in France later this year. The dancers are to continue earning a ranking point as they target the 2024 Olympics in France.
What makes it unique, different from from the previous championship we had in Ruero? First is in Central. The turn up, all the authorities registered, their number is far different from the other side. Last time we experienced few big girls. Those are girls who are dancing breaking. At this time we are going to have we are going to see the highest number of big girls in Central. So we are expecting a good turn-up of breaking girls, and we are looking at a good brand from these competitions, and also benchmark from the previous one, because breakers in the Central, they have been battling or dancing previous battles in town. So this time we are meeting people who have been in the sport and they are going to adopt it for so long. So this is the advantage we are going to experience today.
And that brings us to the end of our weekly Roundup Bulletin. Thank you for joining us. You've been a lovely audience. My name is Wadulo Arnold, and from the team we must say have yourselves a great Sunday and a lovely week ahead. Also a great new month of October as we move towards Independence Day.